Welcome to another Live in Freestyle game dev live stream. We do this twice a week, Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings right now. My name's Kevin, and we work this kind of like office hours. We're making games, so basically come and go as you please. Hopefully we're kind of here to ask questions, maybe help answer some questions, but more likely stumble through some questions together. Like I said, my name's Kevin. I work professionally in game dev, and I do a lot of really cool stuff at work. But there's a lot of really cool stuff I don't get to do at work. And so if there are no questions, and a lot of times there aren't, we're kind of stumbling through making our own game. And that does a bunch of different things. It lets me learn a ton of different things about all different aspects of Unreal Engine that I can actually then apply to understanding better, other disciplines and everything like that. And plus, I do just want to make a game. So that's kind of what this is all about. It looks like I went through some of our previous streams and I didn't see any comments or questions, which is cool. And as usual, if people do pop in and they have questions, we'll kind of give those priorities. But in the meantime, since we don't have any questions, we're just going to roll right in. Where we are, we're working on gameplay ability systems and AI. We've done a transition to Unreal 5, and we're trying to leverage a whole bunch of the stuff that's in the Lyra project. I believe it's pronounced. I've been pronouncing it Lyra, but I heard a live stream with Epic and they said Lyra, but I'm probably still going to say Lyra. And specifically, we're working on a frost grenade, and I'm super excited because I think tonight is going to be a good night. I think we're gonna make a ton of progress tonight, which is gonna be fun. And I say that because I kind of cheated and worked ahead a little bit. So let's kind of recap where we are and what's going on. So first, switch over to my screen, get a bunch of this stuff mounted up. Double check that we actually switched over to the screen. That's good. Checking the chat, no questions. All right, we're good to go. So let's just take account of where we are right now, and let me show you what's going on. So we have our characters, and we're working on the frost grenade. And when we throw the frost grenade, it explodes. These were our effects that we did all these last time. Right, and what we wanted to do was we wanted to connect the frozen treatment to that. So there's a couple of things that I'm working towards doing that. We need the ability to apply the frozen material. And as I started trying to dig into how we were going to do that, I realized that we kind of need to revive our material manager. And so I went back to our Unreal 4 project and I brought back our material manager. And there's a couple reasons for this. Ultimately, in the end, how we set up this material, we can change that. But I still think we're gonna need a material manager because the way these characters are made up, there's meshes that are attached in different places, there's multiple meshes, and the idea of having design just try to wrangle every time they want to set a color or change a material, we need a manager to help us. And so I went and pulled over the material manager, and you can see it working here because you can see we brought in hit flash. So let's take a look and kind of see where we are with how this hit flash is working. All right, and I also want to show you a couple problems with it that we're going to fix. I'm wondering if there's a way I can turn down the audio. All right, well, I'll ask the first person who shows up in the chat what's the deal if the music's too overwhelming. And if I can't think, I may have to turn it down a fair bit. All right, so let's take a look at our hit flash. That is going to be happening in our game queue notify damage hit flash function. So we added this, and if we do a quick search for this, Nothing too rocket surgery yet. We just inserted this just to kind of have it in here. And basically this is just in line with everything else that's happening with damage, right? On the burst, this is where our damage animation was happening. This was our decals, all the Niagara stuff for the directional feedback, a lot, you know, etc. So we just added a hit flash. Now let's dig into this hit flash. If we go here, what this does is it basically gets the owner, and it gets a component by class from the owner, which in this case is our material manager. And then with our material manager, it has a play hit flash. And this is some testing I was doing. All right, so now let's take a look. And you can see the way play hit flash works is it takes a duration and it just does its thing. Now, if we go into play hit flash, which is in our play material manager, this gets into why I was saying we kind of need a whole bunch of stuff just so we don't have to continually keep getting all of the material instance dynamics and setting them up and everything like that. So basically all this is going to do is it's going to go through all of our material instance dynamics, and it's going to set the values. Now, interestingly enough, you'll notice over here I have the defaults and I have the currents. The currents is an idea I added in and I didn't get a chance to finish and follow through with it. So we're going to go ahead and I believe we want to switch this out, but first let's one problem at a time, right? If we take a look at our event graph, this is pretty straightforward. We have an initialize where it gets the owner, grabs a controller, clears our defaults, and then it basically gets all of the children. And this is where this is going to get extended over time as part of the material manager. And it's also going to I built one of these at work once that handled like stacking and prioritization, all kinds of stuff. We don't need that yet, especially not for the prototype we're building. If we get to the point where we need that, we should all be playtesting and having a blast with this game, and hopefully there'll be a whole lot more people helping us out with it at the same time. But anyways, we're gonna get all of the children and the skeletal mesh. We're gonna check it for the skeletal meshes, and then for each of those, we're just gonna live through. And we're going to basically record their default material instance IDs, and then we're going to set the material to the material instance dynamic instead of whatever happened to be set at the beginning. Now, when we do this, when we're done, we're going to go ahead and set our current material instance dynamics to the defaults. Riles, what is up? Welcome tonight. What are we making? We're making a game. Third-person shooter prototype. Basically is the starting point. But right now, specifically what we're doing is we're making it so our frost grenades will actually change the materials of the enemies to be frosty, and then we can blow them up. What are you working on? Okay, so this basically stores all of our material instance dynamics. Okay, and then we have a couple other functions in here which we'll go into in a minute. But this is set material and set default materials. Okay, so back to our hit flash. What I want to do is I just want to change this. I believe this is still going to work because it should still be. Now let's go back to our game. Let's play and just double check that our hit flash is still working. Yeah, he's still flashing. Okay, but I want to show you the problem that I was talking about. This is UE5. Yes. When I shoot him, you'll notice the hit flash is playing. It's kind of hard to see. The weapon is not hit flashing. So let me show you. Let's exaggerate our hit flash by a lot. Right now we're only hit flashing for 1 frame. Let's go for a full second, just so you can see the problem. All right, if we go up and we shoot this dude, look, he hit flashes, but the weapon does not. So there's a couple of things that are going on here. Even though the weapon has, actually, okay, there's another piece of the hit flash you all need to see to understand how this is working. So you're not working in Unreal or anything like that, Riles? All right. By the way, let's see here. Okay, so what I was saying was we need to go back. I made some changes to the mannequin material so that we could auto play the hit flash and it would auto calculate the timeline and everything like that. That way we can just in here, we can basically call hit flash and give it a duration. We don't have to do any other work. So how does that work? Basically, it's just this small little area right here. That's it. It basically, you give it a start time, a duration, and it's using game time to figure out how long the hit flash is supposed to play. Our current default color for hit flash is all kinds of crazy bright red, 1,000. Nice, Unity, very cool. I definitely looked at Unity, but because we use Unity at work, it was hard for me to say, I'm gonna do Unity, I'm sorry, we use Unreal at work. Because we use Unreal at work, it's hard for me to say, I'm gonna use Unity at home and then Unreal at work. And but the whole point is to hopefully get better and make the day job easier too. Plus, I really like Unreal. Unity, when I started working with it, I've done a few projects with Unity, mostly on the front end. It's just a whole lot of scripting. All right, so this is how our hit flash is working in this material. We've added this same exact stuff to the weapon material, but for some reason the weapon is not playing the hit flash. And the reason is it's all about loading. And let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. What's the best way to do this? Okay, let's go to our event graph. So we have our initialize. Let's edit this, or find our references to this. What? Oh, okay, here we go. So, shooter mannequin. That's not the one we're looking for. Here we go. So what's happening is, what we did is, what I was thinking was, originally none of the hit flash was showing up, and it was for a lot of different reasons, but basically because of the way the Lyra characters get built, the cosmetics get switched out as part of the process before the pawns get possessed. So eventually I dug my way in and I found that as part of this cosmetics changing, I needed to initialize our material manager. And so this works great for the character, but the weapons still aren't built yet. And so there are ways that we could force this, and let me see if I can think of a good one to kind of prove it out. Here we go, on possessed. Let's just change this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change it so that this happens when the pawn gets possessed. All right, and now what's gonna happen is it's gonna do our material manager initialization, and then it's gonna continue about its happy business. Now when we play, theoretically, the gun should also light up. Yep. So see how the gun is now getting the hit flash? But here's the problem. Let me see if I can get this guy to shoot me. There we go. See, my gun's lit up? See how it's lit up there? Watch what happens if I pick up a shotgun. Now I have a shotgun. And when I get hit, notice how the shotgun does not light up. Excuse me. There we go. See how the shotgun doesn't light up? That's because what's happening is every time you swap out a weapon, it's basically rebuilding that mesh. And the material manager doesn't know that it needs to update to grab all of those new materials so that it can also play the hit flash on those. Why do we want to do that? Well, it may not seem like a big deal, but this is hit flash, right? It may seem like enough that when we do a hit flash, you can just see it by looking at a character's body. However, what if our character is being frozen. So only the body's frozen, not the gun? Visually that may not be the total cell. Or even more to the point, what if we change the way our characters are built so they're made up of pieces that you can swap in and out as you're playing? Well, every time one of those pieces swaps, we need to be able to tell the material manager, hey, there's new pieces. Make sure that when this character gets flashed or frozen or design stated or whatever we're going to do to it, that it knows to grab those as well. So now what we got to do is we got to dig to find where our weapon stuff happens. So let's do that. Quinn weapon instance base. Determine cosmetic tags. That might be an interesting place. On equipped. There's also B weapon. Here we go. Team changes right here. So basically, if we swap our teams, we're updating our stencils here. This might be a good place to do it. Ooh, what is this one? That's fire. We're not gonna worry about that one. Let's just see if we can add it in here. Oh, no. This isn't gonna work either, because it's not just about the team change. It's about when the weapon gets reslotted. So this is where that's happening. This is part of the gameplay ability for, what is this for? Quick bar slots. So when we activate it, we're going to select a slot and we're going to set the slot. All right. We'll find it. It may take us a little bit, but we'll find it. Load character cosmetics, random character. Weapon impacts, weapon fire. B weapon base. Determine cosmetic tags. All right, let's see if it comes. Let's see if it comes in here when we equip it. All right, so we're gonna set a breakpoint right here. And what's going to happen is we'll probably hit it when we start, right? Because it's equipping it to start with, which is fine. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to grab this gun. When I do, it equips it. Okay, it's hitting this. This is cool. Now what we need to check is if I swap, does it hit that? It does. Okay, cool. So what we can do is, I believe, all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this on equip and activate determine cosmetic tags. Before we do this, let's try to add it. Let's see if we can add this in here. So we're gonna get our pawn, and then let's get the controller. Not the AI controller. We'll get the controller. And then we're going to get component by class, and we want the material manager. And we're just going to initialize this. Initialize. Now, I don't want to say this is the lazy way. This is lazy in the sense that we're going to need to make our material manager much smarter to be performant at some point, but right now I'm not super worried about that because we're just trying to get to a playable prototype that we can all play together. That's the goal, right? That's what we want to do. We want to, rather than sitting here watching me play with blueprints, how cool is it going to be if we hop online and do a playtest together? It'll be fun. That was the wrong glass. All right. So theoretically, this is going to initialize, reinitialize our material manager every time we swap a weapon. So let's test that. So first things first, if we get hit now, there we go, everybody's red, that's cool. Let's get a shotgun. We really need to update this ability for a couple different reasons. One, dude should not be able to shoot through walls. And two, there we go. See the shotgun's red? Totally worked. Swap out the gun. Rifle's red. Yes, there we go, that's progress. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's everything that we were doing as far as starting to get our material manager online. And now we know that we can change different colors and stuff like that. Now, let's talk about part 2 of this. Part 2 is getting our character to freeze. Okay, so to do that, let's go to, is it damage taken that I want to do this in? Yeah, all right. What we're gonna do is when we do our hit flash, temporarily just to test, all right? What we're going to do, it's pretty, is rather than stopping after a hit flash, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the material manager to set the material for the character. And what this does is it basically gets all of our current material IDs and clears it. And then it creates a material instance dynamic from whatever material we passed in. In this case, we're passing in frost, right? I might pass in fire, I might pass in poison, who knows what, right? And then what it's going to do is it's going to add that, and then it's going to do the controllers, and then it's going to go through all the skeletal meshes, and it's going to set the materials. That's what we want. Okay? So basically all this is doing is updating the material that's on our character to be the frost material, or whatever material we tell it to. And then when we set default materials, what's going to happen is it's going to do the exact same thing, but this time it is going to use the default materials that it started with. That's why we stored them at the beginning. So let's go back to our damage. So you'll see here what we're going to do is we're going to play our hit flash, then we're going to set this to frozen, then we're going to set our frozen molt. Let's go 1. And we're going to set the center point, like where this is happening, where the frost comes from. And then we have a delay of 2 seconds, and then we're going to go back to our default. So when I shoot this dude now, no matter what I shoot him with, he should get frozen. Well, let me rephrase that. He's not actually going to be frozen, but the material is going to change to the frozen material. Whoa. And it looks like we've got some problems that we were not seeing before, but that's okay. So our frozen material is crazy. Look at that, it's crazy. I think we can tile that down quite a bit actually. Where's our frost grenade? Let's see here. 1, 1, 1, 1, 7. Let's cut these in half. Let's go 3.5 and 3.5. Wow, still a lot. I'm having a hard time believing that. Not gonna lie. That seems like a lot of frozen for... What material are we applying? We are Oh, we're applying the frost grenade instance. Yeah, we don't want that one. We want this one. That's why we're having so much fun. Okay, so let's apply this dude. And then let's go back and change that back to, I believe we were at 7 and 7. Alright. Told you I didn't believe it. Seems suspect. Oh, we're still compiling. Hold on, we're compiling our shaders. Now what's happening here, by the way, when the material is being restored, it's putting the gun material on the character. So compiling shaders on, there we go. There we go, that looks better. Okay, so when he's actually frozen, that'll probably be pretty cool. Okay. There's a lot of the aesthetics about that that bug me a little bit. I kind of like the look of the frost grenade better, and I think part of it is this metallic value. Let's bring that down, and I don't really want to get too pulled into this. But let's just see if that's a little better. Because you can sit here and spend forever dialing knobs and stuff. Yeah, that's cool. Interesting. I wonder if that's happening to me too. Yeah, look at that. My weapon material is being assigned to my legs and arms, so we'll have to figure that out. But that's all just material management. But overall, this is working. Okay, cool. So now let's go back to our blueprint and we can take out our test. And that's just gonna finish our hit flash. So that's gonna stay the same. Now what we want to do is we want to take all of this and apply it. Oh wait, yeah, we want to apply it to the frost grenade. Okay, so to do that, do we have our frost grenade open at all? Does not look like it. Okay, so let's go here and grenade, go frost grenade. Not frost grenade, grenade. Okie dokie. So here's our gameplay ability for the frost grenade. This is where we spawn the actor, we play the throw animation, but that is not what we're looking for. This is the actual blueprint for the frost grenade. And this might be what we're looking for. Restream the explosion. Detonate the grenade. Alright, so here's the push. Alright, so this is where we need to figure out what we're going to do here. Add hit result. Gameplay effect to target. This is frozen damage, I believe. But that's not supposed to happen until after apply cold. Sphere iterate through all the pawns. This is applying the time dilation. Okay, so this is what's slowing us down. This is cool. This is part of what we need. And it's looping. And then after a 4-second delay, we're going to clear that timer and we're going to iterate through all the pawns. Interesting. Interesting. So basically, we're gonna have a timing thing. We're not gonna actually see our frost. All right, so what we'll do is we're gonna apply cold, current time dilation, minus 0.04 with a clamp value. Okay, for now, let's just change out the material. And in order to do that, we need the instigator's controller. Do we already have a handle to that? Mesh? No. Self. Get actor location. That's for the grenade. Make the effect context with the grenade damage. Throwing player is instigator. Throwing player is the instigator. That's not who we want as the instigator. We want the people who are being damaged, which is these dudes. Okay, I don't like this. Here's why. Basically, right now, the way this is set up is for each of these actors, if we iterate through them, let's just do it. Let's just do it this way for now. Okay, so this is the pawns. Let's get the controller. Get the controller. Nope. Get the controller. Here we go. And then we're going to get components by class. And let's get the material manager. And then with the material manager, let's set the material. And we're going to set the material to be the frost grenade. And we want it to be actually, oh, and it's gonna be awesome. Okay, this is gonna be, let's see here. So we have a controller. We're going to set our material to frost. Let's just see if that even works. It won't be spiky, but it should at least turn to frost. So there's a grenade. Bingo. He's frosty. Oh, I'm frosty too. Alright, so you'll notice that we're frosty, but we're not, oh, interesting. I didn't undo my freezing, but that's okay. Okay, so we're frosty, but we're not resetting our material back after the explosion. So we'll do that in a second. But first, we need to set parameter. Set material parameter scalar. And this is why I don't like this. All right, let's just take this time dilation. Let's go minus subtract. And we're going to take 1 minus this. Actually, let's take this. Let's subtract. We're gonna go into here. Let's go 1 minus that. So that way it starts at 0. Because time dilation at 1 is real time. Time dilation of 0 is frozen. So let's see if the spikes grow over a period of 3 seconds, I believe. Doesn't look like it. So why is that? Oh, I know why. Because we didn't actually set the parameter name. This needs to be, where's our frost? This should be our global frozen molt. Global frozen molt. Try that again. We'll see if we spelled it right. There we go. Alright, cool. Oh, I'm getting frozen too. Oh. Alright, so a couple problems. I can't move. So many problems. Okay. There's a couple other things we need to set. We need to set the location that this is happening. So let's do, let's set vector. And what we're going to do is let's get the actor location, and we'll also feed this into our center point. I believe that's how it's spelled. Center point, yes. Okay. Now, wherever the grenade detonates, the ice should go the other way. Yep, see that? It's going upwards because the grenade detonated upwards. Now, you'll notice that the freezing amount is relative to how long I was in the circle, as well as, after the push. So there's a bunch of problems we gotta fix, and there's some things I don't like about this too. First off, this actor location, I don't know. I think what I'd rather do is I'd rather get a vector, right? If we change this to be a vector, that's interesting. Those are, oh, it's just getting those actors. Okay, so if we get this actor's location, and what we do is we want a vector from this actor to the grenade. So if we subtract this, so this is going to be a vector from the actor to the grenade. Actually, I want to flip that. Let's flip that. From the grenade to the actor, because we're going to be pushing the ice particles instead. And then we normalize that. Normalize that. Okay, and then what we can do is we can take that and we can add that into the actual actor location. What that's gonna do is that actor location plus this is gonna be our new center point. I think we need to multiply in here though. Just to make this larger, because basically we're moving out the center point. Let's convert this to a float. And let's move it out by 100. Or no, let's go 200 just to be safe. I'd like it to be noticeable. We'll clean up these spaghetti noodles in a second once we test this. That looks good. All right, let's test it from the other side. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we got to do a couple of things. Okay. So that's totally working. I like that better from a vector standpoint because we can clean this up by doing this. Doesn't matter which order we add these. Okay. Make it pretty. Okay, cool. All right, let's do a couple things here. First, let's turn off the ice. When do we turn off the ice? Well, we should turn off the ice after this delay, right? Because at the end of the 4 seconds, that's when the actual explosion happens, and that's when it's time for the ice to go bye-bye. So we'll get, again, we're gonna iterate through all the pawns again here. But this is actually already a problem because yeah, we're gonna have to change the way this thing works. But for now, let's just do this. That's the destroy. Okay, and let's get the controller from this. Which we don't have. Cast to character default and get the controller off this. Yes, we can. Alright, so if this succeeds, we're gonna do some stuff. Fails, we still need to do this other stuff. So if this succeeds, we're going to get component by class again. And maybe, depending on how much we do, we may just want to store the material manager. No, we don't, because we got to use it for each one. So yeah, that's not going to work. So we'll get the material manager, and then we'll set default materials for that character. And then when we're done, we'll continue through here. All right, let's make some room on our giant box. This is for the unfreezing part. Actually, I'm gonna put this up for clarity. And then also clarity. Okay, cool. So now what should happen? A quick save all, just in case everything crashes. Now what should happen is after the grenade goes off, dude freezes, he gets blown away, and his materials go off. Great. So now we got a couple other things to fix. Maybe we start with the material fix first. I think that's a good one to start with. Okay, cool. So this was not happening before. It's interesting. I would bet you if we took out the weapon stuff that we added in. Where did we add that If we took out this event initialize, I have a sneaky suspicion that our materials return to normal normally. Whoa. Wait a minute. How's that weapon being included? Find references. This is getting used in more than one place. There's gotta be. Okay, that's this one. This is what function is that's on possess. That's where we're doing that one. I think we can take it out of a cosmetics change. Let's try that for right now. See if we're getting our initialize here. Okay, he's oh, his weapon's definitely included. Interesting. Alright. Doesn't look like we have a choice. We need to fix this the right way. Oh goodness. That's gonna be fun. Alright, so here's the problem. When we set the material, we're clearing the current MIDs. We're creating a material instance dynamic for the one that we're setting. We're getting the owner, casting is getting the pawn, getting all the children, and we're going through all the children. And we are getting the materials from the children. Wait a minute. Why is... and then we're setting the material for... So then we're setting the material to be the frozen. Now, when we restore our defaults, we're getting the owner, we're getting the controller. Same thing, we're getting our root controller. And then for each one, we're casting a skeletal mesh, setting our mesh, getting the materials. And then we are setting the material back the default MIDs. So here's the question. It sure does look like we're setting our body to a weapon. It's almost like the order these come through are different each time. So let's run a test here. Let's get the display name of these meshes. And let's print this. And actually, this isn't even where I want to do this. I want to do this when we're storing our materials. So up here in initialize, we want to print this string, which is the mesh. We'll make it blue on the way in. Let's go 20 seconds. And then what we're going to do when we set it back is again get the display name. Not that one. Nope. Oh, it just crashed. Whew. Thank you for debuggers. Get the display name. Print this. Just confirming that this is the problem. I have a feeling we'll set it green on the way out. We'll go 20 seconds again. Okay, so what should happen is be here, Shannon. Oh, how do we know which? Okay, it's easier to test on ourselves. And the reason is because we can force it. So let's do this. We're gonna go grab the shotgun. And then let's go stand over here in the corner. Okay, wait a second. Let's run that test again. Because what we don't know, again, we don't know which one. Alright. Sorry. We're gonna remove this from the playlist. Oh, that one always gets me. Okay, so if we swap our gun, did not initialize. And our weapon is not included. Okay, so we messed up. We gotta go back. In here, weapon instance base. We need to initialize this on cosmetic change. Let's try this again. Okay. So when we switch to the shotgun, I'm sorry, back to the rifle, we have Quinn and Viz, Beam Cannon, and Quinn. When we throw the grenade, it looks like the same order to me. That is definitely the same order. If that's the same order, gets the order. I'm trying to figure out why this is not. Let's put a breakpoint in here. Let's put a breakpoint. We can take out these print strings. These aren't helping us anymore. Okay, and what I want to do is, let's play. We'll go grab the shotgun. Force a swap. Okay, and then let's... put a breakpoint in our initialize. And let's put a breakpoint in our set defaults. Okay, so let's go one. So we should hit our initialize. Okay, we did. Alright, so we get our materials. There's two. They're both material instance dynamics. One is material instance Quint 01 blue, and one is material Quint 02 blue. Seems reasonable. And it's valid. We're gonna cast it to that. Oh, wait, what? I thought these were... Hold on a second. What just happened? It's like it skipped something. So what's currently in our defaults? There's only one material in our defaults. Whoa. Notice a gun. When we first load into this, oh, okay, this is the invisible one. Okay, this is nothing. Second one should be the other character. Now we should have something. Still invisible. Here we go. These are our material instance dynamics. These are Quinn's 1s and 2s. Okay. But it just changed. Look at that. It's like it skipped over a whole section of the loop. Game cannon. Like, hold on, what am I missing here? We don't need standard. Alright, I need to do this for a sanity check. I don't want to, but it seems like it's skipping. Get the display name. So let's print the mesh. And then let's print the materials that go with the mesh. And the mesh will be red and the materials will be pink. We don't need the breakpoints because we're just printing. So if we look, there's one. So the shotgun has shotgun materials. The beam cannon has beam cannon materials. And the other one is material instance dynamics 0 and 01. Seems pretty consistent as I switch back and forth. Okay? So now, if I go and blow myself up with a frost grenade, this is setting the default materials. Sure, why not? Let's walk through this. Looked at it. Starting with the it started with the hold on a second. Yeah, look, the order is different now. So Quinn and Viz is getting beam cannon and Quinn. Okay. Somehow the order's changing. How is that possible? So when we get, all right, so this was actually one of the things that I was worried about when we initially set this up as a possibility, that the materials could change ordering based on when you pick something up and so on. So unfortunately, or fortunately, we need to be smarter about how we initialize and store our stuff. So our default material instance IDs, we need to make sure we're putting it back on the right skeletal mesh. To do that, I want to use a struct, I think. So up here, I wonder where Lyra, whatever. Let's see where they're putting their structs, just to. Are there any Lyra structs? Yeah, wait, Lyra, no. They're in with where they go, so we're gonna put it in here. So we're gonna make a new struct. And this is going to be materials. Let's call this stored, no, default. Let's call the materials struct. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, but we're gonna roll with it. And what it's going to have in it is the first variable is going to be a skeletal mesh. And it's going to be the it's going to be a skeletal mesh component. It's going to be an object reference. And then we need to add a variable. And this one is going to be material instance dynamics. I think we're gonna assume that for the skeletal mesh itself, that the order is not going to change while in game. So this is going to be MIDs, and this is going to be a material instance dynamic object reference, and let's make this an array. Okay. Save that. Now let's go back here and let's change our default IDs to be our material struct. Save. I don't see it showing up here. Huh. Why can't I make an array of structs? I thought I could. Why don't you like me? Is there something I have to compile? There shouldn't be. It's super weird, but this stuff is not showing up. Okay. Should the variables be serialized for save games? No, I don't think it should. Default value. Okay, we're kind of hitting a brick wall here. For some reason, it's just not showing up. Oh, goodness gracious. How are we gonna do this? It's an array of struct. That's what we want. But the structs aren't showing up. So we are going to close Unreal. Let's save everything and relaunch it. I can't think of why you wouldn't be able to use a struct in here. We are definitely going over tonight. That's fine. If it doesn't show up now, it'll be kind of a stump. UE5 struct component. Still launching. I'm reading at the same time, trying to make sure there's nothing that prevents us from using a struct inside of a component, but it doesn't look like. It just looks like yeah, this should just work, unless I just accidentally happen to name it like a reserved name or something. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So let's see here. Default struct. It's not there. Structure. IJKLM. Material struct. Dude, it's right there. Why doesn't that show up in the list? Material struct. So weird. Okay, and wait. Structure. Material. Wait, it was right there. Where'd it go? Hold on a second. It was just right there. Material. Goodness gracious, it's gone. Where'd it go? Oh my goodness. Structure. Geometry. It's not there anymore. Like it just disappeared. Holy cow. Let's go with this. This is going to be a material manager. Okay. I don't see it there anymore. Material. Wow. These are all disconnected now. Can we compile this? Of course not. No idea why this is happening to us right now. We're just gonna reconnect all these up to make sure that it's not a compile error. We change this to man, it was there for a brief second and then it was gone. Unreal Editor triggered a breakpoint. Let's just simplify this a little bit. Maybe there is a compilation error. Here it is, material manager material struct. Change the variable type. What the world? Okay. I have no idea why that's happening right now, but we're gonna roll with this and see if we can make this work. So, because this is now a struct, okay, what we need to do is we need to clear this. That's gonna be the same. All right, and then we're going to our current MIDs also needs to be one of these material manager material struct. Okay, and then the default is going to set. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about the printing anymore because we know it's messed up. We have no idea why it's doing that to us. We're gonna add. Now, the add, this is where we get in to this. The add needs to be specific. So we're going to make one of these. Make a struct. Make material. Usually a make shows up here. Alright, let's try this. Let's just break this. Default MIDs. Let's make, nope, add items, make, nope, that's not what I want. Let's add, and let's make. Whoa. Come on, man. What is going on here? There's something super weird going on with structs in here right now. Okay, let's do this. Let's call this temp material struct, and we're going to just make this a single one, right? And we're going to get that. We're going to set the members. Nope. Set. Yeah, that doesn't work. What in the heck? And why can't I break this? I should be able to break this. Compile. Yeah, I know. So I can set this here. Nope, that's not what I want. I mean, this is what we need, but for some reason, it's clearly marked as editable. The default values are, we shouldn't need to set those. Add a variable. Okay. So let's change this to our new struct that we just made. New user defined struct, change that. You can see what's going on here. Look at this. I can make one of these. That works fine. There's gotta be something going on here. Okay. So let's go back to this. Let's change this to skeletal mesh. Component. Look at that. I don't understand. Okay. So can we go this all the way? Let's take this and call this, this is gonna be the skeletal mesh. It's gonna be the MIDs. And this is gonna be a material instance dynamic. And this is gonna be an array. Save that. Look at that. What is going on? Oh, but look. Our temp material struct is now gone. I didn't like that. It just blew it away. New var1 structure, new user structure, error structure, user defined. New user defined struct is not compiled. Where else is red? Compile. Compile. This looks like we have a problem. So the invalid property new var1 structure, new user defined struct, user defined struct is not compiled. So how do I compile it? Asset. Tools. Oh, interesting. You're telling me that there's a .h file that got made with this? Open user. Oh my goodness. No. This is totally compiled. This has nothing to do with this. Default values. Save. Here we go. We're back. Oh my goodness. All right, so what we want to do, I'd really like to make this one work. MIDs. Material instance dynamic object reference, and it's an array. We can save that. Default values, add one, save that, come back here and go back to our material manager, and our default MIDs is a material manager material struct, which is way overkill, but can we make one of these? Nope. Let's make a material manager. Okay. Let's do this. Temp test. And we're going to define this as a material compile that guy because it's not happy about something. Wow. We're blowing this whole thing up. This is way more work than I was hoping to do on this. Oh, goodness. Okay, but it will be. Still not working. I don't know why this one works and this one does not. All right, fine. Let's just roll with it. We can get rid of this new var, New temp test doesn't work. Okay, so we're gonna make one of these. I'm a skeleton mesh we're gonna be putting in here. Sheesh, we're finally back to. We're finally back to actually trying to make some progress here. Oh, interesting. So for the mesh, we're gonna get the materials. Okay, so let's go create a new one. This is gonna be mids, and these are gonna be material instance dynamics. I'm starting to wrap my head around this. Material instance dynamics, and it's going to be an array. And what we're going to do is in here, we're going to add this to mids. But before we do that, every time we come in here, we're going to clear this. Hit mids. And let's clear it. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to take these. Yes. Okay, so that clears it. Then we're going to add to the mids, just like we were doing before. So we're basically accumulating a list of all of our mids, and then we're going to do the same thing down here. So now we have, when we're done with this loop, we'll have an array of our mids as well as a mesh. So when this is completed, what I want to do is we're going to make a new one of these, which the name is great. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add, not to the default mids, we're going to take this and use new user-defined struct. Change the variables. Get this, and let's add. And we're going to add this. So when this is completed, what we're going to do is we're going to add to our default mids these values, the mesh and the material instance dynamics for that mesh. Okay. Then when we're done, let's change our current mids to this new user-defined struct. And then when we're done, and we're going to set this to be okay. So we've kind of recovered the first part. All right, now what we want to do is I don't know that we really need to worry about this. And the reason I say that is because oh, that's why. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So if we clear the current mids, then what we're going to do is we're going to make a new one. And so much overkill. Okay, so we've got to do a similar thing if we want to be consistent. There's a couple ways we could think about this. We could use Alright, I'm going to create one more variable and see if I can simplify this. Let's call this active mids. And we're going to change these to material instance dynamics. And the reason we're doing this is because I think once we're actually setting and moving stuff, we don't really need to do that. And so when we're done, what I want to do is we've got a list of all of our mids. We completed that. What we can do is we can go through the default mids, hit that for each, and then what we can do is we can break that, and then we do a for each on this. And what this is going to do is we're going to add this to the active mids. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is just going to give us a list of material instance dynamics. to work on, so we don't have to do all this craziness. So when we go to set the material, what we can do is we can take our active mids, we can clear this, and then we're going to do take our active mids, I'm going to add this one like we were doing before, and then for each of those mesh, we're setting the material. Cool. Now when we want to set, that sets the material. All right, and when we want to set our material parameters, what we're going to do is we're going to get our actives. Okay, and for each of these we're going to set, when we play hit flash, we're going to do the same. And the only time we need to do the complicated stuff is when we restore our default. I'm hoping. So let's get this. Does this compile? Ooh. Wow, it compiled. Holy cow. Okay, so then the only thing we need to do is we need to figure out restoring. And this is where what we need to do is, as we go through, we need to set, well, do we even need to set our controller? I don't know that we do, because we've got storage. We may have handles and stuff. So if we get our default mids, okay, and we go a for loop on these, and we do a break on this, we have our skeletal mesh. Get materials. For each. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the material. Set the material. Oh, we could do it by name. So we'll set the material for this mesh, and the index is going to be here, and the value is going to be, we should do some error checking and make sure they match, but I'm going to assume they match. Get the value at this index, and that's the material. So that might be all we need. Compile. Save. This might be file. Well, body is definitely not working. I mean, some of it's working. Material manager. What was that error that we saw? Return to active 0 for array, length 0. New user defined struct. Okay, so that's what I was saying as far as error checking. Okay, I don't even think we need all this stuff anymore. In some ways, that simplified this. Let's just move it down here for right now while we confirm this. Because this is actually storing a handle to the skeletal mesh. That's why this works. May not be great for performance, but we'll deal with that later. There's a future us problem tonight. It's late. I would just really like to get this working before we call it a night. Okay, so okay. So these lengths need to be equal for this to work. Otherwise, something is afoot. So if these are true, then we're gonna restore them. Put a breakpoint here and see if we actually hit that. We did. Look at that. Holy cow. That worked. Get rid of this breakpoint. Did we get those same printer things printed? Alright, let's clear this log. I want to see if we're seeing those same things. Print it again. Holy cow, it worked. We may be able to finish our stream tonight. Alright, so in some ways, that actually simplified how we reassign our material. We don't have to loop through it, just does it all based on the stored handles. Setting the material, etc. I'd really like to clean this up a little bit. Let's get rid of this. Ooh, 12 reference. They all must be in memory. Let's just call this the materials struct. Okay. That's all renamed nicely. Compile. Interesting, it didn't rename this. It's kind of weird. Just to be safe, we're just gonna do this. I have no idea what happened with Unreal with this whole struct thing. It sent us on a wild goose chase. Kind of a bummer because we lost so much time doing it, but it's alright. I believe we have recovered nicely. Alright, this is ugly. What is happening here? This is some of our error checking. If that's true, then we're going to do all of this stuff. Okay, that looks much better. I'll leave that up there. That all looks pretty clean. All right, let's grab this, move that up, and then we'll move this down here just to finish. Clean this up. All right, compile and save. And then let's go test one more time. Couple things. First, hit flash. Still working. Excellent. Function. Wait, what was that? Error? Access none, trying to call property. Set scale parameter value graph. Play hit flash function. What is that? What? Okay. Well, this is valid then. That's weird. So if that's valid, then we'll do our thing. File and save. Go again. Okay. All right. So that works. Let's go back to our hit flash. Find references. We'll set this back to its default. We are so close to wrapping this up tonight. We're going to go back down to 0.03 on this. So we basically get it for one tick. And this is not used, as far as I can tell. Yes. Okay, cool. So compile and save. Play that. Yeah, totally works. Okay, so hit flash is good. And believe it or not, we actually have materials that are swapping and going back to the defaults. That's also that's also awesome. So I think we can wrap this up. Oh. Wait. Is hit flash working on me? Yeah. Okay, it looks like it is. Oh no, look. It doesn't, okay. Oh. Alright, hold on. I thought we were done. We're almost done. I think I know what this problem is. What happens is when we restore our defaults, the one thing we're not doing is we're not resetting our actives, right? So to do that, let's do what we do here. Nope, that's not it. Where are we setting these? Find references. This is it. This is happening in initialize. Set material. It's happening there. But we're not doing it here. So what we need to do is just reset this. Because all that happened was after we used the first grenade, it didn't actually set our default. So hit flash works. Hit flash is working. So we're both gonna get hit by this grenade. And hit flash works again. Whew, okay, cool. So a couple of things to wrap this up for tonight. Yeah, we'll just call it a wrap up. Let's do this. All right. So to wrap up for tonight, we made some progress. It's cool. We got a whole lot of stuff working in as far as our materials. Our material manager is actually a lot more capable than I thought we were gonna make it, which is good, fine. It just took us a little longer because of some really super weird Unreal Struct issues. I think the big thing is for next time, what we got to take a look at is now that we have the grenade working, we have the materials changing, all that stuff. There's a couple of bugs that you may have noticed while we were playing. One is if you're initially in the circle, when the freeze starts and you leave the circle, you never get unfrozen. So that's one problem. The other thing is the visuals are a little bit, it'd be nice if they just kind of ramped up so that they didn't just go total freeze. And there were a couple other errors that had to do with being inside the circle or not. Oh, also if you're not in the circle when it ends, you don't get your materials reset either. So there's just a couple things with the finishing, and then I think our frost grenade will be ready, which is cool. Riles and anybody else who was hanging out in the chat, thanks for hopping in tonight. I hope everybody has a great start of your week, and we'll be back Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock for some more Unreal Game Day. Good night, everybody.